How's it going, folks? Hopefully, you are doing well as I am. Let me just go ahead and toggle this so I can actually monitor my own audio output. Good, good. I think that got me. Yeah. So happy Friday, folks. And welcome to the stream. Hopefully, you're doing well. And hopefully, this camera um, stays good. It's like I kind of like using this camera. I think it adds an interesting perspective. How's it going? It is Friday, May 14th at 1:07 p.m. and we are going to be doing some more fun stuff. We're going to continue working on this open source project that I have been developing on uh, for the stream. It's called Stream Closed Captioner. So it provides a mechanism for providing captions for various users on Twitch and also Zoom meetings on top of that. So, um, yeah, it's a pretty nifty little thing. And I hope you get some enjoyment out of it. So let's go ahead and try diving right into things. Uh, let's see. So this one. uh, open external website. Yeah. I think tab 9 wants to be like, hey, I'm here. Something's on running port 555. Interesting. You know, I'm gonna move my camera up here. I feel like that's gonna be. Oh, we'll move it there for now. I can't decide. I can't decide. I don't. Let's see. So is the space up and running yet? It's interesting how this is like booting up a little slowly. It looks like it like kind of rebuilt some of this environment. I was just using this last night, so I don't know why it dropped some of this on the ground. So want beautify. Let's go ahead and install change case, color picker, spell checker. We always need spell checker because I'm a horrible speller. EX beautify. Elixir LS is good. What's this one again? Pull requests and issues? Sure. Let's do that one. Just because. Hex and telesense. Yeah, we do want that. Want this one. We gotta get our little development environment nice and friendly and good. We do want power mode. We need to be powerful when we're programming. Sort lines, yeah. Tailwind CSS, definitely. Synthwave, we need the colors. We need the colors. Yeah, I'm not sure why it got rid of all these extensions that were originally installed in this workspace, but luckily it's simple enough just to click them just to get them installed. Although we probably might need to restart. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. All right, so let's go ahead and get our application up and running. Oh, we don't even have that configured anymore either. Okay, so in order to get our application running, oh, I actually might need to reinitialize the database too. Oh, you know what? It probably dropped everything because I upgraded Docker right before this. So I'm pretty sure Docker might have wiped away a bunch of everything. So let me try running mix setup because we might actually need to rerun all the migrations and everything and get the application set up if that's the case. So it's going to have to compile everything, get everything set up, and then after that, we're also going to load in the couldn't find executable PSQL. Interesting. So we don't have PSQL. See, I was just doing this stuff last night, and all of a sudden, but that I guess that's just the way the development world works. Core Bob, I love how Twitch wouldn't let me click the login button. Luckily, I was able to try to send a message and force me to log in. How you doing, Core Bob? How's life been treating you? Apparently, things are weird for me right now. All right. So we need to install PSQL. So let's see. We might be able to just install this by installing the latest Postgres. No, not Windows. 48th month stream confirmed. Thanks for sitting. Yep, that's the way things are, huh? All right, Postgres SQL client. Yeah. Okay. So that Docker update did a lot more damage than we initially anticipated, apparently. So that's just the way things are now. This is our life. Luckily, I think all we have to do is install the PSQL client and we're good. So while we're doing all this setup, let's see mix setup. Let's see if this setup process will work. So while we're doing this, there is an interest there. So I tweeted about this. Let's see if this is going to work. This step might break. Insecure, could it be loaded? Set config, racial area or internal. Oh, so the database is already there, so I don't have to do that part. Yes. So it didn't delete the database container information. So if it fails that way, then that means that we're good on that front. So that means if I run mixed test, I should see all my failing tests, hopefully. So while that's happening, one cool thing that I tweeted about is Notion, the tool I use for logging streams and other information that I haven't used in the past couple streams. So this guy right here released or opened up their API. They have a public beta for their API going on. So you're able to, and this, I actually need to do this one. We'll set the due date for this Sunday. They released the public API to access the information for their application. So Notion, if I just do a little googly search for Notion API, SEO should do its magic and have it right here. So yeah, they have an API so that you can fetch information from your Notion database, whatever they call it, pages and databases, and also put data in there. So that is already leading to some. I was, since I tweeted it out, one of the other people that is heavily involved with doing Twitch integrations and such is already playing around with it to integrate with Twitch. So basically, Twitch dashboards. So you can make stream dashboards, grabbing all sorts of different information about a streamer, a stream, the viewers, whatever it is, and you can just create a Notion page and have like a full breakdown, statistical information for a streamer, and on there for that stream. So that's really cool. So in the future, I want to try playing with this to do something like that. Maybe try to connect it and then, pull information about the stream, try to do some other interesting creative stuff. Maybe you can even make a dynamic Notion page that shows like people that are currently live and stuff like that. Or control things about your stream on Notion. Hmm? Maybe. So, I could have like I can have a Notion page that represents the stream, and then like, a table or some fields in there that if I edit it, it will go and do an API request to Twitch to update that information. So that's one thought I had for that was like channel points. So affiliates and partners have the channel points and they have different channel point redemptions. So you could try to have like a channel points page so that they can see here like the channel points and then like in a table, and then you can like edit it somehow, change the titles of the channel points, change the points amounts and the other stuff like that. So that's a really cool idea to actually build. Yeah, so I want to try to get into that. Um, the one thing I will probably want to scaffold before the stream, if we were to do that, is just the login flow. Either that or we're going to have to do this across two different streams of creating an app. Because in order to do those things with controlling the stream, you need the user's auth token. So we'll need to set up an application, whether it's Elixir or Node or whatever it is, that does OAuth to fetch their token, so I can do things on behalf of the user, like fetching their channel information. There's things you can there is the implicit OAuth flow where you can just as an application fetch information, but that flow doesn't allow you to access streamer specific information. So I'm gonna scaffold up a project that has just that simple part of it where it does the OAuth flow already set up for us, or or span it across a couple streams of implementing that. So while we're talking, I figured this is gonna take a while, but since this is a new container, it has to go and recompile all of the Elixir application. So that's what we're just waiting for right now. Which is why I ran mixed test. Um, While it runs that, though, I need to get. There are credentials for this application that I need to be able to use to get the application up and running. So, one of my colleagues here at work posted and introduced me to a service called Doppler that lets you store secrets easily and also apply them to your application using a CLI tool. So if you've ever looked closely at my streams and when I'm launching the server, you'll see me run you'll see Doppler in front of some of my commands, because that is injecting environment variables into the command that's being run, so I don't have to leak. So I don't have to have a .env file and accidentally leak secrets, because it's happening through that CLI command hosted on a third-party server that's specifically for that. So, but since this is a new container configuration, I believe I have to log in. No, I'm not going to install the new thing. Open out the authorization page. Yes. So I'm gonna have to go and oh wait, it wants to open the authorization page. Log in, open authorization page in your browser. No, because it can't open the authorization page because I need to go to it directly. So let me go ahead and open this up, and let me go ahead and do this real quick so you can't see what I'm doing. And then paste in this auth code into her. Sure. All right, got an email confirming that configuration. So now it says that I'm logged in. Welcome, Eric. So we're going to set this up and we're going to tell it that we want to use the environment variables for stream closed captioner. And we're going to be using the dev environment variables. Cool. All right. Let's see if we can get a little bit of background music going. We're gonna get a little bit of video game chip tunes. Just quiet enough, you know. Let's see. Is that actually coming in for you guys? I'm not sure how loud that is. Or if that comes in at all. Oh, wait. Okay. That shouldn't be too loud. Just enough to just a little coffee shop music, so to speak. Phoenix, publish activity via Phoenix channels. Yeah, let me double check this configuration here. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. That might coming through. That might be coming through now. So today's task, along with this one that I need to get to eventually, is send messages. Could come up some more. Let's do it like that. Send messages to the front end, to the front end when certain events occur. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'll get into details of what exactly what that entails. Relation users doesn't exist. Or that's like a test database issue. Let's see what the server actually is doing right now. So we want to run a mix start. That's my alias for running the server. We're oh so close to finishing this. There's a couple like usability things that I want to try to get done and just a couple URL changes to do. But this application is almost done. So there we go. We are in. So we gotta replace the place kittens. So we gotta take some screenshots of various components, and our showcase page is working. Let's go ahead and actually log in to the Zeal account instead of this user account. So the cool thing about one of the things that we're doing with the WebSockets and channels is leveraging and I was working on this in a previous stream, is leveraging Phoenix's presence capabilities to track who's live without actually having to like record anything to the database. So right now, no one's live. I'm logged in. the Zeal channel's logged in. And then if I go over here and I turn this on and start up start this up. If I refresh this, it's going to show that I am live now. So live Twitch channels currently active. Boom, right there. Isn't that like, I think that's like really cool that, and it's only tracking it. It's tracking in memory who is connected to the WebSocket, to this WebSocket, and who is actively using it. And it's on a timer. So if I were to turn this off, and so there's two things. So if I were to turn this off, I think I set it up to be about a 5-minute grace period. So I'm still going to show here as active. But the moment I leave the channel, disconnect, close this page, navigate away, it's going to remove me from the list of present people. So if I go over and I just go back, if I go to the showcase page just to see things, I should disappear because it removed me from the channel because I disconnected from that channel. If I come back over here, I'm reconnected to the channel that I use for publishing the captions to, the WebSocket channel, but I'm not it's not saying that I'm live right now because I am not actively using it. So the moment I start this up again and we start publishing captions, I update the presence information and boom, I show up again. I think that's a really cool feature that Phoenix has. So the thing I want to try to get into today is working on this functionality right here with doing translations. So this shows up if translations are active for a user. This is translation information. It says disabled, their credit balance and stuff like that, and the selected translatable languages. But one thing that doesn't happen is this doesn't dynamically change if like while I am streaming, translations get turned on. So someone uses enough credit balance to enable it. It doesn't dynamically change here that it says like enabled and then or add any credit balance or display any updates to credit balance right here. So that's the thing I want to try to get done or try to do. So I've already done it. I did some initial exploration on how to do this last night, and we'll just get into it. So I don't think I'll be able to test this out, at least on this channel, because the Zeal channel doesn't have bits enabled, but we'll be able to test this out on the channel here for my original Twitch account. So that's what we're gonna be trying to do over here. So we're gonna actually have 2 of these streams running, which is gonna be a great test for this. In order to do this functionality, I do need to get the React front end up and running also, because the React front end is going to be communicating with my localhost using the new functionality, which is using GraphQL to send mutations over. So I just need to get this in development stuff, this up and running, my test version of the React extension up and running, because it has the functionality we need to be able to communicate with the new server. So we shouldn't have to worry about any more of that. So we can minimize that. And I should be able to refresh this page to eventually see this. So there it is. Here's our little here's our little extension, and I need to turn on captions for this too. And let's see. Let's see if we can connect that and just monitor. Can I connect to the OBS webcam audio also here? I don't know how the dynamic goes between two different browsers listening to the same microphone. Oh, like it's already frozen. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, there we go. So that's working. Maybe Chrome just can't listen. Two Windows can't listen to the same audio source directly. So we're gonna do a little hack here using loopback and make sure that my audio configuration is doing stuff. So closed captions. So closed captions supposed to be listening to microphone. Microphone should listen to uh let's do this. Let's create a new virtual audio input and let's call this test microphone. And what this is going to do is this is going to listen to various microphone inputs. In our situation, we will listen to the webcam. So there we go. We're listening to that, and that should audio output channel that. Over here for this running implementation, we click this, and I want to listen to test microphone if it's in here. It is not in here. Let's see if I can close this. And see if it'll pick up the yeah, so it definitely gets weird when there's two different applications, two different Chrome instances listening to the same microphone. That's good to know. So let's start this up and see what happens. Oh, it looks like it just doesn't want to listen, period. So we can't have this one running then, unfortunately. So we'll close this out so we can take precedence over this one. So let's start this up and hopefully see something come through eventually. Oh wait, we're not configured to the right microphone. There we go. So hopefully we could see something coming through now at some point. There we go. And then we should see the publications happening over here. So what happens right now is the event that right now this just enabled translations. So if I refresh this page, translation should be now enabled, but because I turned this on and automatically deducted credits from the balance. But it didn't update the UI. That event occurs in our translations pipeline. There's this section right here in the code that got called maybe translate that will activate depending if translations aren't already activated, it will activate the translations for the user. And I've already kind of thrown this code in here, testing things out. But what this code does here is it will I want to broadcast from somewhere in the back end to the front end that an event to tell it translations has happened. The way we do that is the front end's already connected via WebSocket, so why not just leverage the existing WebSocket channel that it's connected to? So this is already connected to the captions channel for our WebSockets, and we're presently using that channel to send the speech to text to the back end. So why not use that same channel to have the backend communicate back another event? So that's what's happening here. We're using our Phoenix the string close caption Phoenix web module. There is the endpoint channel information. So our user is connected to the captions : their user ID channel. So when an when an activation occurs, we know who the user is. So we just say captions : their user ID, the event that happened. So in this case, translation activated and enabled true. And we'll get that event happening. So let's see if this event, and then on the JavaScript side, before I say let's test stuff, on the JavaScript side, I have a dummy, a simple binding here that can listen for that event. So this is how we would listen to an event. I have this set up as transaction, but what we can do is translation activated. So captions channel on, translation activated. So on the JavaScript side, we're on the captions channel, we're listening to the event translation activated, and then we will get a payload. So let me go ahead and just do 2 of these actually, because the other one is a relevant one. So this one, we expect the shape of this one to look like a map with enabled true, like that. Or a map with enabled true key value. The last thing we need to do is we actually need to make the translation status not enabled anymore. That one's based off of some records in the database for debits. So if I remove this record here, it should think that translations are not enabled anymore. And let's refresh the page to make sure we have the latest JavaScript, since we're now listening to this event for translation activated. So right now it's enabled such that translations automatically turn on when you are currently live, or when you turn this on. So let's turn this on and see what happens. Hey, J to the Tech. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. How you doing? I forgot we had this like emote like party thing whenever we get a follow. So yeah, so here's the event. So the backend successfully sent the event of broadcast, and we see this enable true. Hopefully you're doing well, Jay, to the tech, to the tack, and you're having a good Friday. We're just here doing some Elixir coding. Yeah, so we can see we got the event. So we're getting the event, but we're not updating this UI for said event. So we have the knowledge of how to do it, but how are we going to update this UI to do it? So this UI, we're using Stimulus.js to drive the UI via JavaScript. So we'll continue to do that by extending and using Stimulus.js to try to toggle this to say enabled. Stimulus.js is a simple UI library that has the idea of controllers that wrap certain areas of your code, and then within that controller it can listen to bindings for events and stuff like that and have access to the elements of the DOM that are wrapped by that. So we don't have, and so certain parts of the UI are wrapped in JavaScript controllers. So this right here, this caption section has a captions controller that helps drive this section of the code. The zoom controller, this is right here. So this UI element is wrapped by a zoom controller that helps control this aspect of the code. And also the OBS WebSockets, this section right here has an OBS controller that drives this one. But we don't have anything that helps control drive this section of the code. So that's what I'm gonna try to do right now, is set up this section right here to have its own controller, so we can control this little section of the UI. Let's go into the UI code, the HTML markup, to take a look at things. So let's go to dashboard, and let's just go to the index. So everything is just kind of like just a big blob of HTML, since it's just easier just to have everything in one big HTML file. And here's a translation section. So where is the marking for the captions controller here? So how does you bind a Stimulus JavaScript controller to know what controls it on the UI? And that's via the special identifier tags, data controller tags for it. So this tells it to initialize this controller, binding it to this DOM element, and have access to any of these elements down here, any of these child elements in here. So as we're going to be doing the same thing, we're also going to be doing this. I don't think we need to do this PHX update anymore, because this was a live view thing, but we converted this page from live view to regular JavaScript, to regular statically rendered view from the back end, because of some challenges with live view and having JavaScript running on the UI. So let's just go ahead and just do the simple thing first by declaring this data controller around our translation section. So we'll wrap, I think we'll just wrap this lower section. So basically wrap this section in the data controller, and we'll call this translations. So this is not going to do anything yet, because there's not actually any Stimulus.js controller to help to bind against. So the next thing to do would be to add Java, create one of these new, one of these controllers. So let me try to find one of these that's actually pretty straightforward. This one is. So we name it the same thing we were invoking it by calling it translations. The name of the file is very important. And we have connect, disconnect, and then the various events that might want to do. So in here, so this will automatically get initialized if there's an element that says that you know I want this data, I want this to be bound to this controller. So let's just make sure that it's actually working by just saying, I guess we'll call it connect because that's the name of the method. So let's see if in the UI we actually see that log. Translation controller connect. So that worked. So if I were to remove this data controller here, we won't see that log for that. So that's how it knows to bind. And then we bring that back and it says translation controller connect. Take a little drink. Some of that goose fuel. All right. Now the next challenge. We need to be able to connect to our channel. So what's going to happen here is that on connect, going to dynamically import in the channels, browser compatibility. But we're only going to do this if the browser is compatible. Right now, there's a restriction for string closed captioner that only it only works on Chrome browsers because of the API, JavaScript API Chrome browsers offer. So we want import in the channels library unless that occurs. We'll just duplicate this logic here. So let's get rid of this. We don't need this here anymore. That was just my playground. So this channels library is just this channels folder is just exporting out the code to initialize a connection to the WebSocket channel for the desired user. So it's using a JavaScript library that Phoenix provides. The interface is nicely with channels, and we're connecting to captions for that user ID. And there's authentication behind this, so not anyone can just connect to any channel. It's going to check your session token and everything to verify that you are connecting to your channel and not someone else's. So hopefully this works, because this is the part where we're gonna start seeing a little things get a little bit more interesting, a little bit more spicy. So yeah, let's see what happens. Is browser compatible is not defined. Yeah, because we haven't imported it in yet. So translation controls connect, joined successfully. So I'm curious to see if this works. If we get an event here. I alias this to yeah, translations connected. Nice. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that this that this will always call successful socket connection. So now we're bound, and we can listen to this that the translations end up getting activated. So now the next thing to do is if we get an event. So what I want to do next is update the UI to say enabled if the translations if a message comes in. Yeah, translations activated. Translation activated, enabled true. So how's that going to happen? So stimulus has the concept of you can with jQuery and other stuff like that, you would just do like or just with vanilla JavaScript, you would do like you just use the window like find the document, use the special selectors to find the elements that you're looking for, so then you can change the status of it and all that type of jazz. But Stimulus makes that easy by having bindings, so you can specify that certain elements are targets. So you can easily within the Stimulus controller just say like, hey, this element, I want to change it. Like I want to grab the data from it or I want to modify it. So that is the concept of a target. So in the DOM element, so it's a twofold thing where we mirror where we tag it on the HTML. So this is very much um what do you call it? Why am I forgetting the library right now? This is like a little okay. This is a little bit like Angular and Vue, where you kind of put in your markup, you put little attributes on there to help with the bindings, so it can target certain elements. Similar to that. I was thinking about a different library, but Angular and Vue are somewhat similar to this. Translation, data translations target, and we'll call this translation status. Yeah, camel case it. Translation status. So that's our target. So in our translation controller, let's drag this over here so we have side by side. These targets, I left this here for inspiration. So in here, this thing where I just left it here, our translation targets is going to be translation status. So this is one of our targets now. So I should be able to do, so now since stimulus knows it, since I specified a target here, the name of the target, and I say that I have a target here, it automatically does the stuff we would manually do with DOM element stuff of like doing a document element selector find and then storing it in a variable. It does all that for us. So then it can just do translate this translation, and I should be able to do, if I get this correct, translation status, and then this is an element, so I should be able to do like inner HTML. I forget if it's HTML like this, capital or not, inner HTML, and say enabled. We can probably test this out even before executing the code by just putting in a little debugger statement in here. So we can hit it and play with it. So we go into the console, and if we do this, it might be targets. Let's see, translation. Translation status target. There we go. So it's translation status target, and that actually gives us our element. So it's translation status target. And then, since this is just a regular old element, can just do like inner HTML zeal, and then change that. And now it says zeal. All right. We know that it's connecting successfully. Let's get rid of that noise. So we only want to say enabled if for our payload. So our payload, we're grabbing enabled out of it. So if it's enabled, want to do that. Need to wrap this in parentheses so it understands. So let's test this out. So we're going to go into the admin UI and delete that. And we're just going to go ahead and delete this activity here. So you can, I guess I have to go directly into it. Carmike, I was talking to my friend Ben, longtime AV professional who wants to learn Node.js. Referred him to your channel. Well, thank you. Haven't been doing too much Node.js, but do plenty of JavaScript. And if you can do JavaScript, you can do Node pretty effectively, because Node is just JavaScript with just doing a different library. Hopefully your week's been well, Carmike. All right, so here we go. We got disabled. So let's see. Moment of truth. Is this going to work? If I turn this on, will it say that it's enabled? Yeah, look at that. Boom, enabled. It works. Now the next thing too is that since it went enabled, it deducted the balance from here. So now it's down to 500. So need to change this, or need to update this. So along with the work that I've already kind of done, along the lines of doing this trend, the broadcasting, the activity of when it's activated, I have also worked on trying to publishing when a transaction happens and updating that balance on the UI. And that happens in this file. Yeah. So in this file down here, when we there is a transaction, there's a multi that goes through a couple steps of like of processing the transaction, of like validating it, getting their user information, getting their balance, adding to their balance, saving the transaction. So that last step of saving the transaction, I'm including that publish to broadcast that information. I just want to check one last thing. I could just probably add it as an additional step in our multi. I should do that better. This was like prototyping stuff. So just to talk about what's going on. So on the Twitch side of things, when someone wants to do, when someone is going to do translations or like purchase bits or use bits to turn on translations for a channel, it sends a request to the server, to my server, so that I can process that, credit the account, and then that leads to the enablement portion of it. And this part right here is the flow for processing that transaction. So process bits transaction. It gets a couple things in here from the information that it receives, and it goes through this ecto multi, which is just a multi-step transaction thing of fetching different information. So we validate the transaction to make sure that the transaction hasn't already occurred and someone's not trying to do a replay attack. Retrieve the channel user, so retrieve the user associated with the channel. Retrieve their balance, so we can get their current balance of their and then add, and the next thing to do is, after we retrieve the balance, we add to the balance the current amount that was is being applied. After that, we say, and then after that we save into the records that a transaction has occurred, and that's how we validate. That's the first step of validating. So we only record that the transaction was successful if all the other steps are successful. The nice thing about the ecto multi is that if any of these steps fail along the way, it rolls back all of the changes. So none of these changes actually truly 100% apply until like everything's done, or it just rolls it back. So the last step is to save the transaction, so we can record that, hey, this transaction occurred, so we don't fall victim to someone just replaying the same type of somehow replaying the same information and just getting increased balance from just replaying the same old transaction. So what we can do here is add to the ecto multi. A next step is publish. I guess we could just call it publish activity. It's kind of implicit that we're publishing transaction activity because of the context of the method name and everything else that's going on here. So I'll publish the activity. So we need to actually create this method. It's an arity of 1. So it'll be the last step in this publish activity. Just had a brainstorm. What would be an interesting project? Ink just arrived. Welcome. Order food delivery via an API, but Uber don't have one. Yeah. Yeah, or ordering via API. Although sometimes ordering via API can get a little complicated, because you have to take into account if like certain foods are out of stock, like in their inventory and stuff like that, or I guess it depends, right? But it'd be really cool to do easy one button ordering. Okay, so what we're gonna get in here is, so what we get as arguments coming in is going to be the transaction information coming in. Actually, I guess it's an arity of two still. Let's see. Yeah, it's still an arity of two because of how Ecto calls these methods. So the signature that we're going to get in is basically this type of signature. The first one is the repo struct, and then the information from the previous transactions gets piped into the next method. So we have access to all the other information that these return back. Use Twilio to leverage text to speech and call the place. That's true. Soundtrack is my favorite music to Dev 2. Nice. Actually, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but if you go onto Google, like Google Maps, yeah, Chef Brent works for Twilio. Yep. If you ever go onto Google Maps and look up a business, uh, sometimes, and if Google has the business's information, it'll have like a button for like make an appointment, and that will use Google's like their AI thing that they demoed like last year to do a automated call to them to schedule an appointment for you. I haven't tried it yet because I don't want to do it because I feel like that's going to be super weird, and I don't know. I'm not sure how the interaction for that's going to be. Let me see if I can pull it up without like doxing myself. I'll just do it on the side right here. So let's do uh let me try to see if I can pull this up. Nope, that's not it. Whoops. Here, let's do this. Here, I saw it when I was trying to make when I was looking up the information for my barber shop. So let me try to see if I can find a barber shop in here. Barber shop. Let's see. I don't see the option here. Request an appointment. There it is. Is that it too? Okay, so it's not on all the businesses. Request. Okay. So I just randomly picked a barber shop like somewhere here in San Diego just to see how things work. Um so so right here request an appointment, and I was like, when I saw this I was like, oh, request an appointment, okay, cool. They must have an online booking system. I clicked it, and then it's like the Google Assistant will call the business to request your appointment, and then you can request a men's haircut, request a general haircut. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I haven't used it yet, but if you want to give it a try, go for it. If there's a business in your area that takes appointments and can do it with the Google AI. So yeah, so I was like, oh, interesting. And then I make the little for other services. Please contact the barber, the business directly. So yeah, South Korean government uses an app to track those in quarantine. They must turn location services on all the time, and they'll dispatch law enforcement if you don't check in on time. Yeah, I already the there China does the same thing too. There's a couple other countries that did the same thing at the sports game. I thought if you want to dance, the honest says you got to serve your 14 days in the hole. What's the theme I'm rocking for VS Code? If you're wondering what the VS Code theme I'm rocking, it is the Synth Wave 84 theme. Synth Wave 84. All right, so we were working on publish activity. So I need to do this. So down here is where we're going to publish this activity. And we're able to grab the user to publish the activity for. Add bit balance. We need to grab that too. And we get this information because, as I was mentioning earlier, what the results are from these transactions get stored, get put into these keys, and get passed on to the next function call. So you can chain activity as things successfully happen. And there is something not aligned here. I am missing an end somewhere. It has to be here. DFP. The do. Yeah, this do right here. This bits bound. Let's fix this right here. There we go. Okay, it's working now. That, I guess I misspelled the do. I must have done a C or something like that, because it was like, it looked like it was do, but it was like cut off. So maybe it was a DC. Yeah, like you're pointing out. I'm not sure how I made it DC when like the C letter's not even close to the O. The C's letter under the D, but whatever. Whatever. So now with publish activity, we're gonna via the WebSocket channel for captions, for the captions channel for the specific user it's happening to. We're gonna send an event for transaction, and then pass it the bits balance. So I haven't tested this out fully yet. So on the JavaScript side, we're getting this, and we should get this object looking like this. Balance 2000. So let's see if this is actually going to work. So on the UI, we should get a console log that the balance happens. So if I trigger a transaction flow here, I might need to refresh this. Oh, I need to make sure to turn on loopback. Give me a second here for the JavaScript stuff so that it actually doesn't actually charge me. My bits. Charge me my bits for testing this out. So let's enable that to true. What's amazing is that you get a 1 gigabit symmetrical internet on South Korea for 35. Yeah. I mean, their infrastructure is amazing. A lot of other countries have amazing internet infrastructure compared to America. Here, let's just pop this out so we can have this running here and just kind of grab it whenever we want. Okay. So let's see here. So what we're going to do is here, and then I'm going to purchase to turn on for translations. So this should go to the back end, verify everything, submit the transaction, and I should get. Oh wait, I actually need to return back an okay. Since we're doing this transaction thing, it actually requires me to return back an okay tuple, a tuple with an okay in there, and I don't know what else to put in there. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if I need to put anything in there. So I'm just going to do okay nil. And then, so we got that going. We got that going. So let's send the request. Because if I don't confirm that it was an okay returning back from that transaction method, the transaction will fail because each transaction needs to confirm that that action within that multi of each step of the way was good. And if I don't return back a proper response, it will assume that it was bad, and then it'll just it'll roll back all the changes. So let's do that. Let's confirm, and that should hopefully have sent a request. Yep, there we go. It sent a request back. We're confirming, and there we go. So we get a balance. So now the WebSocket published our new balance out. So instead of 500, it should be 1,000 now. We haven't hooked it up to the UI to reflect that new balance, but now you can see right here when I refresh, because it's static, because it's actually fetching things from the back end, it's 1,000. So we need to update that so it's dynamic also. So we're going to do the exact same thing we've done before with using stimulus.js to help drive the UI. So the field here is this guy right here where it fetches the bits balance. And we're going to identify this as a target, as a target for our stimulus.js controller. So data translation target. And we're going to, and then we're just going to call this the translations. We're going to call it the bits balance. And then we tell the stimulus.js controller that we have we have a target to connect to called bits balance. So boom, boom, boom. And then we just take the same thing we do here, where we do bits, we say bits balance target. And then we change the inner HTML to be our balance from our payload. Oop, not from our payload. I said payload, and so I wrote out payload, but it should be balance. All right. So now if I go and try to do this again, so I'm going to do another transaction here. Submit, confirm, and inner HTML. Oh, we forgot to refresh the page, I think. Bits balance, let's see. Bits balance, translation status, target, bits balance. Bits balance, and then I misspelled this. I said bit balance, not bits balance. Let's try this again. Submit, confirm, and hey, 2,000. web sockets, Phoenix channels, go into the JavaScript, updating the UI. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. So let's review the changes that we needed to make in order to do that and commit it. So let me close all of these right now so they don't just get in the way. So I guess we'll go in logical order here. So we'll start with the the bits. So we have this ectomulti that handles like various, series of database fetches and transactions, and added in a new step into this that at the end publishes activity. That publish activity gets two arguments, our repo and a map of the results of the previous actions. So we have access to the user that we looked up and the bits balance that when we add the result of adding to our bits balance, that gives us the new balance. And then from there, we use the endpoint. We use our endpoint module that just comes built into our Phoenix application and do broadcast. And we broadcast out to the captions channel that we know our user connected to, giving the event that a transaction occurred and the data that it has. And then we return back, okay, that everything happened nicely. So that is good. So let's go ahead and plus that. And then what happens next is we have a translations controller on the JavaScript side that is driven by Stimulus.js that will connect to the channel, to the captions channel. This is what this does on the UI side, on the front end, and will listen to the transaction event. When it gets that event, it will update the bound element, our bits balance target, and update its inner HTML to update to the balance that was passed in. And that's how we get that UI update. And then for the UI, all we needed to do, because we created this controller, we specified that a certain area of our page, of our HTML markup, is going to be bound to our controller, and we specified which elements are our targets. So in this case, bits balance right here is our target that has the bits balance. So when we do that inner HTML update over here, when we do this call here, that's the element it grabs. And then for the, I'm going to go ahead and confirm this from this change. And then now for when the translations gets activated, so we can say that enabled. I wonder if enabled is a good word. I've been debating this for a while, but I'll touch on that later, or think about that later. It's either enabled or disabled. If it ends up being enabled, if we activate the translations for the user, maybe we should say active instead of enabled. But we do the exact same type of broadcast to the user channel, a different event this time, translation activated, and the data, which our translation controller is listening to right here. And it does the same thing with the data target. So if enabled is true, then we just update the UI saying enabled. So that's good. What's going on over here? This looks like a white space change. Yeah, it's a white space change. There's an extra space here. Okay, we're fine with that. And then this is just the markup changes. So not like not too bad to publish some changes to the UI and update it. Not bad at all. So complete. So publish bits and translation activity to the dashboard, to the dash, because we're getting character capped. Pretty cool. Actually, let me I want to make a note. I want to write down a note for this. So today's of work, and wanted to update the broadcaster dashboard dynamically, so that dynamically to display if translations are on, or if there is a new bits balance to display, in order to accomplish from the backend, needed the following snippet of code. This will broadcast to any channel you specify with the event, not vent, in data, so that you can drive events across the whole app. Cool. So yeah, so this took a little research because I wasn't sure exactly how you're supposed to do this, but it turned out to be really simple, and it's like a little googly search for that. So that's complete. I forget if I have. So that's complete too. The feature flagging's complete also. This is not complete. This one we can probably knock out in the next 30 minutes, creating a maintenance page for Elixir app. So this one is is a little interesting one, because so Rails has a maintenance page you can turn on. You can turn on Rails to go into a maintenance mode. So if you're going to be doing a deployment, you kind of go into your Rails app and just configure it so that like it says like, oh, if someone tries to log in, it's like, oh, currently in maintenance mode, down. Elixir doesn't have anything like that. So I was trying to figure out how the heck am I going to do that like easily. And someone posted on the Elixir forums a way to do that fairly simply. They create a plug that will redirect you to that will redirect people to elsewhere. So I thought that would be an interesting thing to try to do. To try to redirect them to a different page. And I think we can potentially tackle this pretty quickly. Now you can start your maintenance by calling agent begin at the end. So yeah, this plug I think will just end up getting called as part of the flow for the requests. So under web endpoint. Yeah, so if you add it to this endpoint one, it'll call this and then cause like a redirect to happen potentially. So let's actually test this out and see how this works. So we're going to, and this is actually a fairly recent ask that someone had. This is 9 days ago. Someone is asking about this. So it's actually surprising how recent someone was thinking the exact same thing I was. So let's go ahead and create a new plug. So we're just in a new file here. That is not the file. Maintenance. How you spell maintenance? Probably not. Maintain ants. I got the E and the A around. Ah, okay, yeah. And then this is our module path. And then we add that plug. So we add that plug as high as possible. So probably trying to see how high we want to add that. Maybe right above the router. Well, this is gonna be interesting. So let's just add it here right above the router. So Phoenix Web and then maintenance. So nothing should happen yet. It's gonna recompile. That's one thing. But we should still just hit the page like we normally would have. If we take a look at this maintenance plug, persistence term module false. So this is going to try to get, so based off of what he says, we can do a begin and end. So if we do begin, we put into memory true to say that it's beginning. If we put in, if not, we just remove it. So what happens if, so I think this get defaults to false if it doesn't exist. Yeah. Let's default this to true and see what happens. Yeah, there you go. So it says that the site, yeah, so it just says maintenance. That's cool. So whatever route we try to hit, it'll just return back a 503 response saying that, and I'll just say sorry, the site is currently under maintenance. Turn. Let's say sorry for the dust. Or just say sorry. Uh, it will. Sorry, the site's currently under maintenance. Come back in a little bit. So that works pretty good. The one thing, so that's going to block everything. What I think I want to try to see about doing is not blocking all requests. I think I still want to try to have, um, it'd be nice to try to have the admin only. If you're not an admin, you get the maintenance. Otherwise, yeah, I want to try to see if we can try to do that. So that there, we if we solve the problem, we figured out how to get maintenance mode to show up. Now the question is, um, that was me, by the way. If you're wondering what the heck that notification sound was, if you're looking at your phones, let's see if we could try to get this to only do this again for non-admins. So that we're not blocking all the routes. Just got to figure out how to do this. Hmm. Yeah, because I need to. Let's see. Maybe in the maintenance mode, I can try to do that. So let me see. Uh, so we do have a pipe in here for checking, like if so. I have this pipe. So I have this pipeline for admin protected. Fetch current user, redirect if not admin. So redirect if not admin. That is. Let's try to find where that is. Defined at end user auth. So this is how we would do this then. So we can try to chain this. No, I don't think we can chain this. We'll just do the logic in here. So if they are an admin, we'll need to. There's no early return statements in Elixir. This is going to be kind of messy. So if they're an admin, we just do the regular connection. Otherwise, you get maintenance mode. The only time that this the only time that this won't work is if I put it into maintenance mode and I haven't logged in yet. It's like, how do you know you're the admin if you got to log in first? But we are logged in right now, so we can at least see if this works. So let's try this. Pipeline. We'll call this pipeline maintenance mode. Fetch user. You got to make sure to fetch the user. And then we got to use plug. Can we use it that way? Auth. Okay, so we do it that way. Still a little green about this. So this would be our maintenance plug. I think this works. Let's try refreshing, see if we broke everything or not. We have a couple aliases that we need to include. We have a it doesn't know about the account context. So it's like, what the heck are you trying to do? Okay. So nothing broke. Everything's working like normal. So let's try to hit the site on incognito mode. Nope. We're still able to see everything. So I wonder if we're even hitting. Oh, we're not even using the pipeline though. That's why. Let's see. Is that gonna work? Might be able to even simplify this even more. So do 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 do. Ba-da-ba-da. Da 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 da. So that works for me. How about you, local host? Yeah, there we go. There we go. I'm logged in, so I don't get maintenance mode as I am the admin. But this rando an incognito browser does get it. Yeah. Let's see. Any other ones we need to? I think everything that matters that we need to protect from that is it uses browser. The only one that doesn't use browser is the admin panel. But the admin panel isn't is protected by authentication for admin anyway. Yeah, so if you try to go to the admin panel, you get redirected because you can't even see it. It doesn't even exist for you. Cool. So that actually was a lot simpler than a lot simpler. Period. Because we get the maintenance mode, and then over here we're good with that. Cool. Let's switch this over back to false for default. Let's check one more time. And we're back. So maintenance mode requires you to call this via a some sort of interface or like command line interface doing like IEX whatever. So that's the only thing I'll need to figure out next is actually like setting that maintenance mode. Oh, and that means that with that alert I just heard, that means we should be signing off soon. So one way I can do so one way we could do this is fetching from some value that serves it persisted. I could also potentially just have a table that I can just toggle something on and off. I'll have to test this out in um on AWS to see how it all works out in terms of turning it on and off. If I can SSH in and just turn it on and off really easily. Otherwise, I need to come up with a configuration dashboard so I can just easily like toggle it on and off through a UI setting, maybe through the admin dashboard. But let's commit this. So and add to the browser pipe. cool. I'm gonna add a note of this in the dynamically that is down here. For implementing maintenance mode for the Phoenix app, I followed this posts on the Elixir forum to add a plug that will halt the connection if the maintenance if the maintenance mode is true. So that is it right there. Just need to test this out in production to see how easy it is to call the module to disable it. Oh, it couldn't like do this good. There we go. So that's cool. I like that. All right. With that, that brings us to the end of the stream. Thanks everyone for lurking. Greatly appreciate it and all the company that you gave me. Hopefully you found something interesting out of it. And I hope that you have a great rest of your week. It is Friday, so take it easy. Have fun. Go do something good or rest or whatever it is. Maybe get a vaccine shot if you haven't already. Yeah, folks. Thanks so much. And yeah, we're almost done with this. We're just, as you can see, we're just tying up loose ends. Exciting. All right, folks, take it easy. I will see you next time. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.